Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to round 6 out of 9 for Standard Day here at the SCG Regional Championships, Illinois. I'm your host, Andrew Donnelly. With me, as always, my co-host, Matthew Robert Dow. Matt, what do you got for us this round?
We got a good one here. We have Joe Bernal on the left. He's playing Abzan Aggro, and on the right, Peter Tragos. He's playing the Sultaiu control deck that we saw him playing earlier in the day. Both these players are sitting at 5-0, undefeated, looking to win the next 2 rounds and then hopefully double draw into the top 8.
Wow, both players 5-0. Holy cow, we saw Peter earlier with the Sultai controller, so he must be doing well with it still.
Yeah, definitely. And this Abzan Aggro deck from Joe Bernal is a deck that I was expecting to see a fair bit of, but we haven't really seen until now. But Joe definitely doing well with it. So Peter going to start off with the Temple of Malady and ship the card to the bottom. Joe going to fix his deck. Got to have that thing the right way. Joe's going to play a Sansep Citadel and pass back to Peter. Joe is playing on the playing Warden of the First Tree in his deck, along with some Elvish Mystics. So pretty interesting deck here from Joe. On turn 2, he is going to fetch a forest and then cast a Fleecemane Lion, while Peter just plays an Opulent Palace. So both players have all their mana. Joe first to stick a threat. Peter plays a Satyr Wayfinder, not exactly a threat, but a way to find him another land, which is a Temple of Malady, which he'll put into play and scry. Looks like he's going to keep that one on top and ship it back to Joe.
Now, Warden of the First Tree was a card that I saw 2 weeks ago in FNM when I was co-commentating with Joe Lissette, and we watched Max Khan pump that thing up to a beast. Because I did, in fact, read that card wrong the first time I read it. I did not think that you could continue to give it counters.
Yes, it's not Figure of Destiny where it stops becoming
correct.
Something that you can continue to give it counters. So,
it continues to become massive.
Yeah, Joe Bernal just attacked in, and Peter chumped blocked with his Satyr Wayfinder, and Joe played a land and did not have a 3-drop to play. So Peter going to play another Satyr Wayfinder and hit 3 lands and a Hero's Downfall. So I imagine he's going to take a tap land here, although what color is the real question. Although, if he's thinking about it this long, he might be representing, like, Bile Blight. Might be a tell that he has a Bile Blight if he's thinking about taking this swamp. But nope, just takes a Temple of Deceit, which makes sense. He's got enough green mana, needs some double blue.
He does have another Opulent Palace in hand.
Yeah, but, I mean, you don't want to give your opponent that information if you don't have to. So, he's going to scry and ship that to the bottom. Plus, being able to scry is also pretty sweet. Joe going to untap, and you can see he's got another Fleecemane Lion that he neglected to run out last turn, probably out of fear of Bile Blight. So he's going to send in for 3 again, and then Peter is going to line up a Murderous Cut, delving 4 on this Fleecemane Lion. So if I'm Joe, I'm pretty happy about that, especially if I have another Fleecemane Lion in my hand, plus a Warden of the First Tree. So, unfortunately, I guess Joe is capable of playing both. So he can play the Warden, and then he needs to play a land to cast the Fleecemane Lion. Currently, he cannot. But he does have a Mana Confluence in his hand. But once again, there is a chance that we know Peter is playing Crux of Fate, so yeah, Joe just playing around Crux of Fate there. It was capable of playing the Fleecemane Lion, but probably wiser to play it when he can Monstrous it. He also leaves up the mana to make this Warden of the First Tree into a 3/3, and then he'll have mana next turn to make it into a 3/3 Trample Lifelinker. So Peter going to have 2 mana here. Going to play another Satyr Wayfinder. All the Wayfinders. Hitting all the lands. Jeez. Peter has milled quite a few lands from his deck. That's at least 6 now.
You gotta be happy with that, though.
I don't know, man. It depends. He's just trying to cast Ugins, so...
very true.
The more lands you mill, the less chance you have of casting Ugin. So, but he's going to play a Temple of Mastery that he found off of that Wayfinder. He play tapped, and then he is going to Bile Blight the Warden, which is probably going to die, and he is going to poke Joe for 1.
So Peter at least making use of all of his mana every turn.
Yep, for sure. And so Joe, I don't. So he's got a Nissa in his hand. I imagine is the card he's going to cast here. Like we've mentioned many times on stream, the planeswalkers that make creatures are quite potent against the control decks.
Mm-hmm.
There are really no great ways outside of Perilous Vault of handling both creature and planeswalker in this format. And Perilous Vault doesn't even handle the lands from Nissa. So
This was a powerful card we were talking about earlier in the last feature match we had on with Kent Ketter
right,
against Blue-Black Control.
indeed. Plus, another thing of note is I don't think Peter is expecting this card out of the main deck from Joe. This is primarily more of a sideboard card these days, but yeah, Joe is playing two of them in the main deck, and they seem to have served him well so far, as he's sitting at 5-0.
Mm-hmm.
He turns that plains into a 4/4. And he's got plenty of lands in hand, so that he can continue making creatures even if and casting spells even if Peter does find a way to kill this land. So we're in Peter's main phase here. Looks like he's going to rearrange some mana. Maybe cast a Hero's Downfall if he has it. I think if he has it, that's probably his best line. Got to get rid of this Nissa. She's just going to get out of control if you don't. Yeah. So he's going to Hero's Downfall the Nissa. Sure enough. Does not have double blue up for dig through time, nor do I think he has the ability to dig with his graveyard, but he is representing Bile-Blight. And he's going to poke in for 2. The Wayfinder's doing work here.
Yeah, you got to get in the free damage. It's an important thing we've talked about all throughout today, especially with all the control decks that are running around.
Yep. You never know when you will have missed a point of damage and your opponent will be at 1 life, and you will beat yourself off.
Which we have seen also. I mean, people getting as low as 2 or 3 health and just not having a way to seal the deal.
Joe's going to get into the red zone with his 4/4 trampling land. And I imagine he's just going to pass back. He's been pretty patient with his threats to play around Crux of Fate.
Mm-hmm.
So, going to play a Temple of Silence and then Scry. Nope, going to run that Fleecemane Lion out there. So I imagine he probably saw another threat on top, and it does not have fear of Crux of Fate because of that. His hand is just Mana Confluence, Hero's Downfall, and I think another removal spell. So, yeah, Peter's going to Bile-Blight the Fleecemane Lion. It's going to die. Of note, Joe's playing 4 Valorous stances, so he's representing that if Peter does choose to Crux of Fate, which I can't imagine is going to happen here. Looks like he's setting up a dig through time. So, Peter going to main phase dig. Probably looking for Kiora, something of that nature that he can play on his main phase here. So we shall see what Peter draws off of his dig through time. And looks like he has found a Sultai Charm, a Courser. I don't know if he found a Kiora, which I think is the card he was looking for. It looked like it might have been a Garrick, which is pretty good.
Also not a bad card in this situation. Blowing up the land, gaining 4 life.
And Peter being X16 here, and we're starting to get into the late game.
Mm-hmm.
Joe's deck has decent late game with Nissa and then Tassiger and Warden of the First Tree, Siege Rhino and stuff like that. But Peter's deck definitely has a better late game, and there's a Kiora to at least stop the land for a turn. Although I imagine Joe's just gonna Hero's Downfall it next turn. Although Peter gonna Murderous Cut, so I'm looking to get some value off this Kiora.
He's not used it yet, right? Kiora, we figured out Kiora enters the battlefield with 2 counters? 2 loyalty counters, right?
It does, yeah. So he didn't use it. So he Murderous Cut, and then he drew a card, and then played an extra land, but he didn't have an extra land.
Which, once again, I think is... we saw Peter make a similar play earlier in the rounds, and I think that is... I personally, that is the way I like to play Kiora. I like to get my value in drawing cards.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I imagine Joe's just going to Hero's Downfall this Kiora here.
Burn himself for 1 in the process.
Yeah, and then he has an Anafenza as a follow-up and has a Tassigar also in his hand. So
This is the first time today we've seen Anafenza.
it is, yeah. We haven't seen these Abzan aggro decks. I expected a lot more of them, but
A lot of control decks here today.
definitely a lot of control decks, or at least a lot of control decks that we've selected for these feature matches.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of control decks in the top 8 of the SCG Premium IQ in Indianapolis last weekend. Peter tapping 3 mana here. Imagine if he has a removal spell here for this Anafenza. It's going to die, but no, he's just going to cast a Sultaiu Charm and dig and discard. Looks like he has a Satyr Wayfinder in his hand and an Ashiok.
I'm going to ditch the Satyr Wayfinder, go for Ashiok.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to play Ashiok and try to ride that, maybe try to steal some of Joe's good creatures. He also has a downfall, so... Gonna cast the Ashiok. Plus, yeah, looks like he hit a Warden of First Tree and a land, so... One creature he can cast, and then pump.
And then use.
Yeah. He's got the black mana.
And that's not a creature to scoff at. As we were discussing earlier, I assumed it was very much like Figure of Destiny when I read the card, and then I watched Max Khan go ahead and just pump the thing until it was gigantic. I mean, it was just huge.
I imagine you pump it a couple of times, and
yes.
Your opponent's pretty dead.
Yeah, that was the case.
So, Joe Bernal now figuring out how he's going to deal with this Ashiok, especially when his Anafenza doesn't have trample, and Peter has these 2 chump blockers. So, there's one chump block. Unfortunately for Peter, the Anafenza's ability exiles creature spells whenever they go to the graveyard from anywhere, I believe. So, going to be more difficult for him to fuel Delve.
I mean, on the plus side here, he only has to -1 the Ashiok to...
Yeah, I can't imagine he's going to do that. I think he's just going to keep plussing it, although, especially because he has a Hero's Downfall in hand.
Sure.
So he's probably looking for bigger game, like Siege Rhino. Siege Rhino.
Siege Rhino is usually...
I think Siege Rhino is probably the card that I'm most looking for.
Dr. Siege is, in fact, a very powerful card.
Yep. So, Joe's going to cast a Tassigar. And then he's going to pay the 2 and say, Peter, can I have a creature, another Tassigar, or a Warden, or a Downfall?
And I think
you're going to give him a Tassigar.
Yeah, you're okay just handing him the Tassigar.
He's already got 1 legend out. Can't play 2. That would be insane. So, Peter going to untap. I think he has an Ashiok and a Hero's Downfall in hand. So, definitely looking for some... I'm looking for something. Maybe a dig through time. So let's see what he does. It's going to look at the Warden. It doesn't really line up all that well right now. Although, Peter, I think, is capable of making it a 3/3 trampling lifelink if you'd like to spend all of his mana.
Yeah.
Which I don't think is great in a board of a 4/5 and a 4/4, especially when the 4/4 can make your 4/5 a 5/6.
He also has a Hero's Downfall in hand, so I don't know if it's just worth it to continue to plus Ashiok. If Joe goes for another attack, Peter can remove 1 creature block with the other one.
Yeah, I think that's probably what's going to happen.
You leave Joe with the dead Tasker that you essentially gave him in hand if you decide to downfall the Anafenza.
Yeah, it looks like Peter, I think a line he could take is he's going to minus, and then he can, when Joe attacks, with the trigger on the stack from the Anafenza, or even without it, he can downfall the Tassigar and then double block the Anafenza and make the Warden a 3/3.
Ooh, I like that.
And I think that's the line Peter has selected here. He can also just let the Ashiok die since he has another one in hand. Although, I mean, that's giving the opponent more information, so I don't particularly like that.
I think as long as Ashiok remains on the field, you try to use the card to its just full advantage. I mean, the fact that it's giving you creatures is very good.
And unfortunately for Peter, had he plussed, he would have gotten rid of the second Nissa Worldwaker in Joe's deck that Joe drew that turn. So, yeah, that is unfortunate for Peter.
Playing around that card's gonna be tough.
Yeah, I imagine Joe's just going to slam it and send in. That way he kills the Ashiok no matter what, even if Peter has a removal spell and some blocks. The unfortunate part for Peter, though, is now Joe is going to be able to get a little bit of value off the Anafenza trigger if he has the other land. So we'll see what Joe wants to do here. I imagine he's going to cast the Nissa.
And I think you're right.
Yeah. Cast the Nissa, probably make the Mana Confluence a 4/4, and then move to combat, put the counter on the land.
Do you take a damage when you attack with the Mana Confluence?
I don't think so. No, it's not City of Rest. It's not whatever it taps. Yeah.
You actually have to pay the life.
Yeah. That would be crazy.
It would be.
So Joey's going to cast the Nissa. He's going to make the Mana Confluence a 4/4. As stated. Now the question remains is like, I think we have to kill Nissa.
Unfortunately,
Which
yeah.
is-
With the heroes down.
Yeah,
Oh, yes, you're correct.
I'm pretty sure we have to kill Nissa here, and then hope to like top deck a Crux of Fate. So we'll see what creature Joe decides to put the counter on. Yeah, but I think we're on like probably. You could probably just chump block, and then next turn you can make the Warden of the First Tree a little bit larger. What does it grow to? It's a 3/3, and then it gets some counters to a 5/5, or is it?
I think it's a 3/3, then becomes a 5/5, and then you can continue to add counters onto the 5/5.
Yeah.
And it's pretty. I mean, the card is. I believe when I first read the card, I was like, oh, I assumed when you got to its final step, it got 5 counters, and then that was where the card ended.
Yeah,
and that was not the case.
So I imagine Peter's just interested in protecting his life total here, and I think. Yeah, so I think he's just going to block the Tasigur.
I mean, all creatures there for our viewers were directed to Peter's face.
Yeah, all right.
Not even at the Ashiok.
Right.
Yeah,
doesn't care.
Right.
Little too slow. Peter's gonna make it 3/3 trampling lifelinker.
Kind of threw his lands at Joe there.
Yeah, he's on tilt.
Scorpion tailed him.
Probably a little bit on tilt since he could have plus the Ashiok and gotten that Nissa, but as it is now, yeah, he's facing down a pretty difficult to beat Planeswalker. Really would like to draw a Crux of Fate here. That did not look like it.
Was that a blue card? Was that a dig through time? Or
Could
was
be.
it a Polluted Delta?
Dig through time would be good. Oh, there's a card. Yeah. Peter getting some
Fleecemane.
some stinkers with Ashiok.
Yeah.
Would have really liked to get that Nissa.
Let's take a look at Warden.
Yeah, I imagine. Yeah, so he's just gonna make it the 5/5.
So it becomes a 3/3. Then it gains Trample and Lifelink, and then you put 5 counters on it.
Oh,
so
snap.
it becomes a
So it's an 8/8 lifelinker.
8/8 Lifelinker with Trample.
Yeah,
that
that's-
you can continue to put 5 counters on it for 6 mana.
That's pretty good. So
is
he's gonna
very-
kill Nissa. Put gain 8. Go to. Jeez, go to 15. That card's insane.
Well, that's what yeah. So this is what I mean when we were discussing that earlier. I was very used to the mentality of Figure of Destiny. This has gone way far and above the mentality of Figure of Destiny.
Yeah, Joe drew a pretty good card though against a 8/8 lifelinking
Lifelinker?
flying
Is that
trampler.
Abzan?
Yeah, he drew an Abzan charm. So
So
he's gonna show Peter this Abzan charm, and then Peter's gonna throw his lands at him again. So some pretty good top decks from Joe. Also of note, if Peter doesn't plus the Ashiok, Joe doesn't draw this Abzan charm.
Very true.
So, yeah, Peter's going to scoop him up, I think. No, he's going to scoop him up.
that
he's seen
Abzan
enough.
charm was timely.
And if Peter goes back and watches this, he's just going to be like, wow, I got so unlucky. Every time I plus Ashiok, it hurt me, and every single time I didn't plus it, I got punished for it.
To be fair, I don't know if I can really fault Peter for taking the lines that he did as far as plussing, not plussing Ashiok.
I think they were the right lines to take for sure, but
Yeah.
I think he just kind of got unlucky there.
It's very
Yeah, I mean, he's going to win that game if Joe doesn't draw a removal spell. So, all right, let's move on to the sideboards.
What we got?
We've seen Peter's before, so we'll go over his first. He has 2 Negates, a Disdainful Stroke, 3 Thoughtseizes, a Hero's Downfall, 2 Silumgar, the Drifting Death, 2 Tassigurs, 2 Drown in Sorrows, a Farika's Cure, and a Kiora, the Crashing Wave. Cards I like here, Downfall, obviously. Card is pretty good. I think we might want to bring in maybe another Disdainful Stroke, although, I mean, I don't really like that. We have 2 already in the main deck. Joe's only playing 8 cards that it actually counters. Maybe some more after sideboard, but Yeah, I don't particularly like more disdainful strokes. I do kind of like Thoughtseize, on the play at least. So I'm probably bringing in those. Sultai Charm feels kind of bad to me in this matchup.
Yeah, I
Just
can
playing
agree
a
with
lot,
that.
like the cards it kills are Tasigur, Courser of Crewfix, and Warden of the First Tree. So I'm probably taking those out. Uh, but
I
yeah,
could deal with the additional Kiora here too. I think
yeah,
that's a card that I'm okay with.
yeah. Provided you can curve out into like Bile Downfall, Kiora,
Kiora,
yeah, then we can
yeah.
be in a good position. So I might bring that in too. Moving on to Joe's sideboard, he has 2 Back to Nature, 2 God's Willing, 2 Sorin Solemn Visitor, 2 Utter End, 3 Hushwing Griff, 3 Blight, and a Glare of Heresy.
Interesting.
So I like God's Willing,
Yep.
because it's, plays around Peter's targeted removal spell, and Peter only has 2 Crux of Fate. And obviously Joe doesn't know Peter's lists, but yeah, so Peter is really banking on his targeted removal, and Gods of Willing completely blows that up.
I honestly like, once again, and I know that this is a card that Utter End I think is a fantastic card in this matchup. It allows you to get rid of planeswalkers if you hold in your hand long enough, and Peter tries to go for an Ugin or tries to go for a Garuk. You can deal with that. I mean, there's a lot that card can do for Joe in this situation.
Yeah, I think Utter End there's some consideration there. I definitely would bring in Sorin, just because, once again, it's a Planeswalker. Planeswalkers are good against control decks. Hushwing Griff I might also be considering, just
Really?
because it's a way... Yeah, you can play around sorcery speed removal, like Crux of Fate, but Peter really doesn't have any cards that you would, like, you get a blank with it, so I probably am not going to bring in a full 3.
Gotcha.
I don't know, Joe's looks pretty well set up against Peter's deck. I think I might even so I'd probably bring in 2 Guys Willing and 2 Sorens. As for what we take out, that's pretty tough. Joe's list looks pretty good right now against control decks.
Yeah, I mean it's a very well refined aggro list. I think much better than we've seen kind of in the past from these Abzan decks. It's really not playing anything cute. It's playing your really good creatures and your really good curve essentially. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I might probably take out some number of Valorous Stance for the Gods Willing. But other than that, Joe's list is pretty tight, and this looks pretty good against control decks.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a consideration to take out Elvish Mystic, although I think it's nice kind of to take back the play if you have a turn 1 Elvish Mystic. But Joe only has 2 of them, and they're kind of like a dead draw. Like, they're really bad in the late game.
Sure.
So that's why I might take them out. Especially against a deck that's probably bringing in Thoughtseize and stuff like that. So, we'll see. Players are almost done. Have the same white-colored sleeves. Hopefully, everybody will have the correct deck.
You don't think they swapped some cards there?
Swap some decks, maybe swap some cards. That would be interesting. Yeah, Joe's list looks really good. I like it.
It's very streamlined.
If I liked green creatures, I might play it, but
If you liked green,
I
you don't like green
hate
creatures.
green
though.
creatures. No.
You don't like green creatures.
Unless they're 1/1s.
In the last green creature I really got behind, I think was Huntsmaster of the Fells.
That card was sweet.
That card was super sweet.
Didn't play that though. I played better cards like Snapcaster Mage and Restoration Age.
Okay, I played those cards too.
Yeah.
Yes, they were good, but you're saying that Huntsmaster isn't a good card. Now that's
No, it's a good
offensive.
card.
Offensive to me.
So Peter going to be on the play here. He's going to lead off with a turn 1 Opulent Palace after both players kept their 7, and Joe's going to lead off with a turn 1 Warden of the First Tree.
Boy, I like to see that.
But yeah, man. I think that's a good start for Joe. I think one of the problems with this card, though, is like the best turn 1/turn 2 play in these decks is a tap land. So, like, it's, yeah.
You don't quite know
There's
if
kind of
you're
that, kind of that struggle between...
Oh, no.
Oh, there it is. The first one I think I've seen ever. The Satyr
that
Wayfinder
miss.
in these Sultai
Yeah.
decks miss.
That was
So
that
is
was the one time.
Super unfortunate for Peter.
Wow. Did that hit both Kioras
It
too?
hit both. It hit 2 Kioras.
So if he brought in the one from his sideboard, he has the potential to have 3. If he didn't, the 2 in his deck are just gone.
Gone.
Now. That's
Yeah.
not good.
No.
That's really a card that's stand out here.
Peter's going to chump. Joe's going to make his guy into a 3/3. So hopefully Peter has another land, and he wasn't banking on that Satyr Wayfinder to find him one.
That was the first Satyr Wayfinder I don't think we've seen hit.
Yeah, it's
I
been
mean,
been a while. So Courser of Krufix is a pretty good roadblock for this Warden of the first tree. That's a 3/3, and takes a ton more mana to turn into you know,
Yeah,
what,
he's
8/8.
Nope. Next stage it gets trample and lifelink.
Okay, yeah, but
If the
Joe
stage
makes-
after
yeah.
that, correct.
So it takes a ton of mana to make it into a thing that can attack through Courser of Krufix. And Joe's going to attack, and Peter's not going to call. Playing around Bile-Blight, which Joe doesn't have. But Peter doesn't know that, so he's going to play.
That's a little strange block. I think well, maybe I don't, because I don't want to
Peter's
get
probably
Bile-Blighted.
banking on this Kiora, or this Courser of Krufix to draw him lands and gain life.
Which I can totally agree with.
So Joe really in the tank in the scry here. Decides to keep it on top.
Mm-hmm.
Peter going to take a card off his top of his deck with Courser. Looks like he has a follow-up Courser, and then he had a Temple of Mastery on top of his deck, which he will ship to the bottom. Hopefully we can get Peter to move his deck onto the camera so we can better see. Looks like he has another land on top of his deck.
Yes.
Alright, there we go.
Awesome.
So it does have a swamp on top of his deck. And he's going to pass the turn back to Joe.
So double Corsa here can kind of set Peter somewhat ahead here, just by gaining life. And
now I wonder if Peter's going to block. If he blocks, he gets loses to Abzan Charm, which Joe does have in his hand.
Yep.
But you just can't keep taking 3 damage over and over and over again.
Agreed.
Going to play another Temple. Put that one on the bottom pretty quickly. Not much time to think about that one. So we'll see what Joe's play is here. I wonder if there's value in passing the turn with Valorous Stance up, and if Peter doesn't do anything, we can kill one of his coursers. Although protecting this this Warden might just be of more value.
I mean, we do know that the Warden can get a large late game, so if you're making your control opponent play around this singular creature that you've deployed to the board,
yeah.
I mean, it's definitely good.
Peter's going to draw the Swamp, and has another land on top of his deck. Going to play the Temple of Mastery, and reveal a Bile-Blight, which is a pretty good card against the Warden here. And I imagine he's just going to keep it on top of his deck. And sure enough. Now the question for Peter is are we going to send in? So he chooses to not. Looks like he's not going to attack. Okay, yeah. I mean, this is the problem with him last turn not blocking, is he missed out on some damage because he didn't block and didn't attack with his Courser. So Joe is going to Abzan Charm, and I imagine draw 2 cards. Yeah. So Joe going to go down to 13 and draw 2 cards. So there's some good ones. Double Siege Rhino.
Drops down to 12. Had to take a pain, I think, from the Land War Waste.
Yeah, thank you. Double Siege Rhino is pretty good. Can't really complain with that.
Nope. I'll take those draws.
Yeah, definitely will take 2 Siege Rhinos off of an Abzan Charm.
Mm-hmm.
So Joe's going to untap here. Drew a Temple of Silence for the turn.
We're at the stage now where the Warden can gain lifelink, but, I mean, do we even dump man into it anymore, or do we just run out the Rhinos?
No, I'm just interested in dumping and running out Rhinos.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have 2 more Wardens in our hand. Yeah, this has done a pretty good job of dealing some damage.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really interested in dumping any more mana into it. Although Joe just decides not to attack and passes to Peter, which is an interesting line of play.
I'm wondering why we didn't get a Siege Rhino there. What is he...
So I think his plan here is to, if Joe attacks, so this essentially stops Peter's attacks, because he can give his guy lifelink and trample.
Sure.
So Yeah, but he still has to pay all his mana. So Peter ships a Crux of Fate to the bottom, and then reveals another Crux of Fate. So, Crux of Fate, a little bit easier to play around when you know it exists. So Peter tapping 2 mana here. I imagine he's going to Bile Blight this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joe
Now it's gonna one of these is gonna get Valorous stanced. So that's interesting. Joe knew that there was a Bile Blight.
Yeah.
I don't know why he didn't attack there. It's kind of bizarre to me. I imagine he didn't cast a spell because he's playing around counter spells. But his life total is getting pretty low.
Which is interesting to say. I mean, even though Joe had the more aggressive Keytrues, these coursers have essentially carried Peter back up, not from the brink, but they've gained him a ton of life.
Yeah, they've gained him a ton of life. They've done a ton of damage to Joe. Joe's at 8, so
they've thinned cards. I mean, it's definitely pretty impressive.
So Joe looks like he's going to lead off with a Warden. He's considering. All right, so Joe plays a Warden, and then I'd imagine he's going to just cast a Siege Rhino here, but he can also just,
Do you cast the Siege Rhino knowing that your opponent's going to draw into the Crux?
Oh yeah, that's a good point. No, probably not. I think I just like passing.
I would assume once again that we're trying to get this Warden up to a point where it becomes usable for us, right?
Yeah, I like the just passing. I forgot about the Crux.
Yeah. I mean.
Yeah, and there's
a dig through time. Great. So the control deck definitely showing its muscle.
Yeah, and I mean this does the Warden does do a good job of roadblocking Peter's Courser of Proof Fix, since it can become a 3/3. But that plan just gets blown up if Peter has another spot removal spell. So let's see what Peter has in store. So he's going to cast a Sultai Charm.
Yep.
And I wonder if it's on the kill the creature mode or no. He's going to draw 2 and then discard 1.
So he really wanted that dig in hand, potentially to fire that off.
Yeah, I imagine he can cast it this turn. Gonna gain a life off the Courser after he plays an Opulent Palace from top of the deck, and it's like he drew 2 cards and Dig Through Time still stays on top of his deck since he revealed another one.
I mean, a lot of people are saying they dislike the Courser in the Sultai control list, but I mean, this card has done nothing but provide advantage almost the entire game.
Yeah, every time we've seen it, it's been really good. So Joe's going to make his Warden back into a 3/3. Does have the 6 mana. If he can make it into a 3/3 lifelink Trampler to then make it into 8/8 lifelink Trampler. So, but yeah, Crux of Fate is a pretty difficult card here for Joe to play around. Although at this board, I think that he's advantaged. Although he knows Peter has a Dig Through Time and is drawing another dig, now he has to start doing stuff. And
sure, this Rhino.
Yeah, casting a Rhino here just to gain a little bit of value off of it. Plus, I mean, it prevents Peter from Dig Through Timing if Peter does counter it. So Peter's choosing not to.
So knowing Peter's casting the Dig Through Time right now, can we safely assume that he'll take that Dig Through Time on top unless he finds something?
I'd imagine he's going to take a Dig Through Time. I can't imagine not taking it unless he sees like 2. If he sees like Ugin Garrick and he has a land, I might just take Ugin and Garrick.
Yeah.
But it looks like he found some Heroes Downfalls and the Dig Through Time and some lands. So I imagine he's going to take a Downfall and the Dig Through Time to find hopefully more gas.
A Garruk would be pretty solid right now. I would take a Garruk.
Yeah, I think
Garrick if it showed.
Good. Kill the Rhino. Can still block. Make some Death Touch Wolves, I think.
Death Touch Beasts.
Oh, Beast.
3/3.
Garrick's. There's the Ugin. That's not a good one for Joe.
The Spirit Dragon peeking his face out. Can we play the Ugin, though, is the question. He
has some lands in hand, so next turn he'll be able to play the Ugin.
So I think, once again, you wanted shock value from your Courser. There's your shock value from your Courser. You flip over the top card of your deck, and it's an Ugin.
Yeah.
Not to mention, this Courser's kept Peter at above 10 life total the entire game.
Interesting, again, we've seen Peter do this multiple times now. He wants to keep a card on top, and he has another land in hand, but instead of playing the other land that doesn't scry, he plays the scry land. So that's kind of interesting to me. He's going to cast the Crux of Fate that everybody knew about. And then he's going to play a Tassiger. Yeah, that's a pretty good follow-up after you clear the board. I think Joe's going to be able to play a Tassiger of his own next turn, but yeah, Peter's going to be able to be the guy who I think untaps and takes this game over with the Ugin.
Have to be careful about time here too. I mean,
Yeah.
they haven't been playing slow, but I mean, both players
Yeah, we still got 15 minutes left. That's plenty of time.
plenty of time to draw your Ugin and go
Yeah.
off.
So Joe's going to play a Caves of Koilos, and then I think he has the option to play a Tassiger and activate if he's so inclined, and that looks like what he's going to do. So play a Tassiger and then leave Valorous Stance in the graveyard in case he is interested in playing it. He can also just start jamming creatures to the board, but no, he chooses to just pass back. Joe's
No reason to feed the Ugin, right?
Yeah, right. Ugin, that guy he's pretty good. So it looks like we have a judge call.
Not quite sure on what. Was there an activation on Tassiger?
No, I don't
No?
think so. I think it's a case of Peter probably drew a card and saw the card underneath the card.
Ah, I see.
So they're just going to call a judge. Peter's going to get a warning for looking at extra cards, and then he's going to shuffle. So
Yep.
we'll find out right now. But that I think is what it looks like.
So this is an interesting stare down contest we've kind of had in the last bit. The Dr. Siegington, Mr. Rhino,
Yeah.
kind of reset Joe to a life total that I don't know if he's super happy with against Peter's deck. Knowing that Peter has very powerful cards in play, as he was forewarned by the coursers. It's just... I don't know if you could be safe at 11 when your opponent has an Ugin in hand.
Yeah, no, and pretty sure the judge call here is Peter had the Ugin on top of his deck, revealed from Courser, and then still thought he had a Courser, and went to flip the card and saw the card. So
Probably.
pretty sure Peter's going to get a warning for looking at extra cards.
Yeah, so it was an accidental reveal off of Peter still believing he had a Courser.
Yeah. At least Peter didn't draw the card. I've had many people draw a card against me. The issue with that is, like, how many times have you scryed to the bottom? Like, this is where the, like, whole Courser Scryland interaction gets all funky. So, looks like Peter's just going to wind up shuffling his deck, and they're going to figure out how many cards he probably scryed to the bottom. And we're going to go from there. So, back to Peter's turn. Hopefully... Imagine he's just going to jam this Ugin. Card seems pretty good.
I would slam and jam the Ugin.
Although, like, the problem with the slam and jamming the Ugin is,
What does
like,
it leave us open to?
well, if we get downfall, that's not very good for us.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, so Peter's just going to pass. Joe's going to activate Tassiger and get a Courser back. Peter's going to give him a Courser back.
Trading coursers. Let's see if Joe can pilot the top of his deck a little bit more refined.
That's a pretty good one, Joe drew. Joe just drew a Fleeceman Lion, which lines up, pretty well when you have 7 mana. You have to play it in Monstrous Hit.
Make it monstrous right away. For an aggro list, Joe's been holding back. I think he was like you said, he was managing his threats early on. But I also think there was a point where if you're the aggro list, you have to start playing threats. You have to start accelerating the board. And granted, Peter's deck was showing Joe a lot of removal and Crux of Fate and Ugin. So it's definitely dangerous to run those cards out there. But now that you've got this Fleecemane Lion, now here's a card that, Crux of Fate can't take care of.
Yeah, I don't know. I like the way Joe's played this game. He's played with a lot of patience, and there was really no reason to just go all out.
Yeah.
Especially when he's up a game.
Very true. I mean, yeah, that's a part of it. You're definitely looking at that, but I mean, I guess the same could be said about Peter if he's looking to just pull ahead.
Yeah, so Peter going to use Tassiger's ability twice. Joe looks like he's going to give him a Tassiger, and I don't remember what the other card he gave him was. Peter going to draw Kiora.
So he did have the extra sideboard cure in.
Yep.
Stellar.
Looks like he's going to finally cast this Ugin.
And we will get to see how long this Ugin lives. Last week when commentating with Joe Lissette, Joe Lissette was surprised how long Ugin stayed on the battlefield. Just in general, as a card. You know what I mean? We saw an Ugin cast by Josh Broman, and I'm pretty sure the Ugin was on the field for close to 6 turns, and the game hadn't been won. And Joe was under the impression that when this card is cast, it essentially wins you the game.
Yeah, no, and I don't even think it's going to win the game here. So Peter's going to minus to kill to wipe the board. Then Joe's going to cast a God's Willing to scry, but the cards still get exiled. So this Ugin only has one loyalty left, and Joe has a ton of cards in his hand. Siege Rhino among them. So there's another Tasker. That's a good reason to minus and kill your Tasker.
Yeah.
Their Tasker. Yeah, it's going to be pretty hard now, I think, for Joe to take care of this Ugin.
I mean, even beyond that, so I'll play a Siege Rhino.
All right. Well, yeah, he did have the Valorous stance that Peter let him have. Now he's going to cast a Nissa.
That seems dangerous.
It's a swing, pretty crazy swing back. Although, unfortunately, Joe's not going to be able to kill the Ugin this turn. Although the Ugins can only pretty much just ping Joe for 3, which I guess isn't ping him, but bolt him. So let's see what Peter has lined up. I think Peter has a Garrick in hand, so Garrick's a pretty good answer to Nissa.
That's a very good. So for Garrick, you can do a lot of things. You can make your Death Touch Beast. You can kill the Nissa.
Yeah, I'm gonna probably plus him and kill the Nissa.
Yeah, which seems strong.
And then I imagine, yes, probably some removal spell in Peter's hand that he's able to take care of this this Caves of Koilos, so that his Ugin doesn't die. Though of note, he does not have Hero's Downfall mana open. Although I imagine both players have an Urborg out, and it looks like that is the case. So Joe gonna attack Ugin, and Peter gonna say, "Yeah,
there's no
right.
removal.
That's fine." So let's see what Joe's follow up here is. So tap in some mana, 3 mana. 3 mana still. Joe's going to cast a Courser of Crufix. It resolves. Going to reveal another Valorous stance. Joe has the ability to play a Tassiger. I don't know if he's going to do it or not. Going to play another Windswept Heath for the turn. So he is going to, looks like he is going to cast this Tassiger. Or no, he's going to cast a Warden.
Interesting.
Right. So Joe still has plenty of good threats in his hand. Siege Rhino and a Tassiger among them.
Does Peter still have the Crux, though?
He does not. He cast it already, although he still has 1 in his deck. And this is a good way to make it so that Garrick isn't going to just be able to kill creatures for free. Although Satyr Wayfinder provides a nice roadblock, and Peter doesn't go 0 for 2 in this game. Does find the land there. Finds a swamp. So Peter gonna look through the graveyard, exile pile, decide what to do. He does have a Kiora in his hand. Gonna crack a Polluted Delta. Go to get an island. I imagine if he has a Kiora, he's going to cast the Kiora. So he can cast the Kiora, lock something out, and then kill something with the Garrick, and then chump block. See if that's the land he wants to take. Well, looks like he might be casting another Satyr Wayfinder. Nope, dig through time. Can't complain with that one.
He's got to find something. Finding a Crux here would be huge.
Crux is pretty good.
Crux is solid.
Looks like he found a Downfall. I don't know if he found a Crux.
It's hard to see. I see 2 Polluted Deltas. Are these the cards he's selecting?
Yeah.
The top two, or does he have one more selection?
He has, so he took a downfall, I think, in a Sultaiu charm, which is pretty good on this board. Allows him to kill all the creatures if he so chooses. So it looks like he's going to, I think he heroes downfall
Mm-hmm.
the land. No, so he's going to Garrick the land. No, he pluses Garrick to make a beast.
I think that's a solid play. You're giving yourself blockers there. You can target the creature that you are most afraid of with Kiora, and then have your State Wayfinder and your Death Touch Beast up to block any remaining attackers.
Yeah. Yeah, I did not see that he played the Kiora there. So Joe's going to crack his fetch land. Hopefully get a better look than what he had on top last time. 5 minutes left for these players. So Joe going to take a draw step after revealing a Llanowar Wastes. Not exactly, I think, what he wants. Not another one, but able to play that one off the courser. Go to 10. So I wonder if Peter could have Sultai Charmed there, but I don't know. Like, he could have seen the land was coming and then Sultai Charmed. Joe does need to reveal the top card of his deck. We'll get our spotter to do that, to remind him of such. So Joe has Tassiger and Siege Rhino in hand, and a land. There we go. And a downfall for that Garrick.
Joe at 9 or 10?
I believe Joe is at 10. He's going to cast a Tassiger here.
Boy, and this is the stage of the game where both players have been managing their resources for quite a long while during this match. But with very little time remaining, even with Joe up a game, he definitely, if he can, wants to head out of this match 2-0 and make sure that his tiebreakers and such are in order.
Yeah, Peter really needs to get this game under. He really needs to, move a little bit quickly and try to get this game over with. He really could use a Crux of Fate. So Joe going to use the Tassiger, take the hero's downfall. I imagine just cast this downfall on this Garrick.
Target the Garruk. Yeah. And we see an Anafenza off the top, which is just more aggression from Joe.
Yeah, Peter now desperately needs
a Crux is
of Fate.
huge. Yep.
Yeah. So once again, Joe just passes back, content to sit here and not die. Peter going to tap 3 mana and Hero's Downfall. I imagine the Tassiger, because that card is just continuing to get value.
He has an additional Kiora in his hand.
Yeah. So untap. Peter's going to draw. Nope, it's a land. So he might just be on the I need to dig for Crux of Fate here, so he could minus the Kiora.
Minus the Kiora to draw a card, play an additional land, which is yep.
Yeah. So that's what he does. I think he drew another land. He's going to scry. So I can't imagine that he drew that. I imagine he drew that scry land. You would have played it before.
Yeah.
But he's going to leave it on top, which I don't know. I mean, if it's a Crux of Fate, he's going to snap leave it on top. But Peter's, I think, run out of ways to kill Joe. He has maybe some Corsair Crew fixes left in his deck. This Kiora, he could have Ashiok, but he's running pretty low. So there's another Kiora. He's going to plus that. Then he's going to play a second land from the Kiora. And he's got a Sultai Charm and a Yavimaya in hand, and he doesn't know the top card of his deck. So he's definitely in trouble, and there's only a minute and 34 seconds left.
Players are under the gun here.
So they're definitely under the gun. And Joe just revealing that he is got more and more gas. Going to play the Llanowar Wastes that he drew last turn.
Joe bumping up to 11.
So 1 minute to go. Looks like Joe's going to cast a Siege Rhino here. Although, I mean, he could attack.
Definitely, yeah.
Maybe, I don't know which creature Peter locked down, but the Death Touch Beast is just a 3/3.
Yes. But I mean, Peter chump blocks the. I would assume that was the creature Peter would have locked down, the Warden. But if Joe's attacking with it,
Yeah, I imagine he locked down the 4/4. So
the land.
yeah, and so Peter just gonna block with his 3/3 Death Touch Beast, which in this case looks like a sheep token from Yu-Gi-Oh. We've seen a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh cards on
There have
screen
been a
today.
lot of Yu-Gi-Oh tokens today.
Yeah.
And sir, that is a scapegoat token from
Oh,
Yu-Gi-Oh.
sorry, my bad.
You're all right.
What did I say? I said it was a sheep token.
Sheep tokens.
Scapegoats are sheep.
Are they?
I think so.
Oh, jeez.
I don't know.
Did I just get blown out there?
I think so.
That's terrible.
So Joe gonna make his guy a 3/3. And then yeah, just gonna trade. Looks like that is time
That
in the
is
round.
time of the round. Yes, we just let the spotter know.
Joe will be turn 0. And I think he's probably going to win this game, solely because they've essentially just run out of time. Peter, I imagine, going to draw 2, discard 1. 2 heroes downfalls. Pretty good. Although I can't imagine he's going to cast them here. So Peter will be turn 1.
I mean,
he's going to
could-
fire him off.
Yeah, kill the Anafenza, kill the land, correct?
Yeah, but I mean, what if we draw Crux of Fate here? How
Very true.
awful is that going to
Yeah.
feel? We can also just minus Kiora. Or I just plus Kiora.
I mean, plus Cure, target the land again.
Well, yeah.
Oh, just drawing every land in the world.
So yeah, Peter really needed to try to find that. He was digging for that second Crux of Fate, just unable to draw it. So Joe's got keeps hitting lands off Corsair Crucifix.
Joe's going to be turn 2 here.
Keep drawing cards. Yeah, Joe's turn 2 with 2 Siege Rhinos in hand, and looks like he should be able to shove in with the team and kill that Kiora. Although Peter does have another Hero's Downfall, so he will be able to protect the Kiora for 1 additional turn. You can put the Wayfinder in front of the Corsair and then downfall the land. So that looks like that is the line. I
Now
imagine
Joe's
Joe's just going to slam 2 Siege
double
Rhino, or a
double
Siege
Dr.
Rhino.
Siegingtons.
Yeah, so there's 1 Siege Rhino. Going to put Peter down to 13, Joe back up to 15. I can't imagine Joe's going to cast this other Rhino. You know.
If Crux is still a chance, you don't
but-
want to. But there it is. He's trying to force
So
it.
Joe trying to win this game instead of just draw. But Peter takes a draw step. Can't imagine it was a Crux of Fate if he...
Ooh.
There it is.
Oh no!
So
He finally found it.
finds a Crux of Fate, sweeps the board,
Jeez.
and now I would wager that Peter is more likely to win this game, but yeah,
don't think that's
neither
it.
of them are going to
Yeah.
be able to kill each other, and Joe's going to win this game in turns
Wow.
1-0.
I have to imagine had that I don't know. I want to say had the match gone a little quicker, but that might not be the word I'm looking for.
I think that's just what happens with Peter's deck. Like
Yeah.
he had control for a lot of the game, but he's just unable to close the door. He like let Ugin and stuff die when he didn't have to. So
yeah,
he just kind of ran out of efficient and quick ways to kill Joe.
very
And
true.
he doesn't really have any, but you know the ones he does have, the Ugin and then the Garrick, yeah, he just let him die.
So that I just got word from the spotter. That's a 2-0 for Joe Bernal. So
Okay.
Peter did
Peter
concede the match there. He did decided to scoop it up even after the Crux of Fate.
Yeah, so Joe Bernal moving to 6-0 here. Peter Tragos moving to 5-1. Peter definitely still live for top 8. Joe just probably needs to win his next round there, and he'll probably be in our top 8 later.
All right, guys, we're going to cut to a quick break while we find the next feature match. This was round 6 of 9, so we've got what?
3 rounds to go.
3 rounds to go before cut to top 8.
Yep.
So make sure you stick around, stay in the chat there. We'll try to get to as many questions as we can later on. And make sure you click that follow button, guys, so you can follow me and Matt as we go through our adventures of casting local FNMs to SCG regionals to I think Indy States is going to be the next big one.
So yeah, sounds
Right?
good. Yeah,
All right.
I thought we were gonna cast the Super Bowl, but I guess that's
Yeah, we didn't get that
that's a
job.
couple of years away.
Not yet. All right, guys,
man.
we will be back shortly. Talk to you soon.